Oh, great. Todd, can you see me? Give us some things, Todd. Morning. Morning, Martin. Morning. Right, let's get going, eh? And for those that are joining in today, expecting to see my good friend Steve the barman, unfortunately, is in a part of the country where there's not very much internet. Oh, look at all those thumbs go. So they scraped the barrel. We had a pirate theme this week, and my good friend Todd phoned me up yesterday and said, "Do you fancy doing 4N TV Live?" I was like, "I'll go on then." I'm mad like that. Last minute decisions. And hey, look at this. Karen Blake made that for me. Beautiful banner. Thanks, Karen. And I got that last minute last night. It was one of those things that I needed. Christmas tree, very festive. Anyway, right, let's get this show on the road. So, for those who don't know me, I've not met yet, my name's Kirk, and I go by the name of Duggystone, and that's my business name. And there's a story behind that, and I'll tell you about that if we ever meet up. Thanks for joining me on 4N TV Live, Saturday morning. Used to be Swap Shop, now it's 4N TV Live. So, anyway, we're going to go and start the 40-second round. So, instead of 40 seconds, you can send me 40 words as a Facebook comment. This can be a brief pitch about you and your business, which everyone tuned in will be able to see. I won't attempt to read them all out, because that'll be fun. But I'll try to pick a few comments. As a tip in for future weeks, prepare this ahead of time and just copy and paste it. So if I mess anything up, just roll with it. That's how I work anyway. So right, we'll get on with it. So does anyone want to start the 40-second rounds? Start putting your comments in there, and I'll read some out as they pop up. Oh, my name is Todd, Social Media Cowboy. If you've never heard of Todd, he runs that group called Leamington Bloody Spa, the biggest group in the UK. So yeah, check him out. Oh, they're coming thick and fast. Martin the Warlow, 2013, was nearly killed when he collapsed. And yeah, anyway, that's scrolled past now. I can't see what it is. I'm trying to get it on the computer here as well. Kirsty Gray, we find people when others can't. www.familywise.co.uk. And she doesn't like that programme that's on. Is Who Do You Think You Are? So yeah, go and have a look at that. She's a few rant and raves about that in the week. Morning, James. Thanks for joining us. Who else have we got? Jackie Chappell. I give busy people. She's the ironing lady. She people back their time. Yeah, the ironing lady. Michael Nagels. You might know him. He works for that company called 4N. He's on next week. Yeah. He's not on Monday. He's having a rest. Oh, and before I forget, I might forget later, but tomorrow there's normally the Christmas speech in there at 3 o'clock. And there's going to be another one this year. There's going to be, you know, as usual, Brad's doing it. So if you want an alternative Christmas speech, then check Brad out. Who else have we got here? Keep them hearts. Listen, it's not a test. I know a lot of people say, can you bang the hearts and everything for a test? I'm just vain. So bang them in, get as many as you can, and what'll beat everybody else. Crosley. Oh, go and check Crosley out. He's got an Eventbrite thing on. And you can read all these comments. So anyway, later they stay there. So that's it. Oh, look at that. Loads of hearts and laughter. I'm vain. Come on, bang them in. Let's get them going. Hayley Hilton. My name's Hayley Hilton. She's good. Watch that War and Peace when you watch one of her Facebook lives, but never mind. Hayley Hilton, I use magic of 4N to market my Revitalise You. Oh, Con's on there as well. I'm Con, and I make people's websites work for them. And I'm random, and everyone, what was it? Make them. And I don't know, I can't read that. Heart Junkie. Yes, son, I'm a heart junkie. I'm just vain. Bang them in, keep them coming. Oh, Sandra's joined. Good morning, Sandra Owens. What a lovely lady she is.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, she's in the other room. Woo! She's part of the production team. And I know she won't put anything on there, but she's an amazing artist. And check her out, smallart.com. She makes bespoke wall pieces. And one or two people in 4N have had the sense to buy something off her, which is, well, it's not buy something off her, she's created something off her. Ask Tanya Brink. Crosley, Merry Christmas to everybody. Oh, on that point, because I'm not going to get all political or anything like that, but there's lots of bad stuff going on in the world. I'm going to let everyone else talk about that. Boris has been on this morning. What I'm going to say is focus on the positive, because with positive we find love and we can change things. So let's try and change things around us. And because negativity just, negativity is no good. You just find more negative things, it'll just wind you up. So try and focus on the positive stuff. And as it's Christmas, eat as much as you want and drink as much as you can, because that's what I'm going to do just after this. That's what I should have been doing this morning, watching my good friend Brad's on. Oh, good morning, Brad. Hey, I mentioned you before, Brad. He's on doing the Christmas speech tomorrow. I've had a call from the Palace that no, they're not in Palace, they're in Sandringham. That he's not watching Lizzie tomorrow. He's taking the corgis in the other room. He's going to watch Brad instead. See what it's all about. Anyway, where are we up to? We're getting there. We're getting to the time, aren't we? We're getting to the time. Who else have we got? Brad Byrne. Brad Byrne. Oh yeah, UK's #1 motivational speaker. Why is he the UK's #1 motivated business speaker? Because he said so. It's got it on his website. So true. Here we go. Oh, Sam Pratt's on. Brilliant. Not as technical as yours, Sam, with all the stuff you did. That was an amazing foresight. But I've got a roller banner anyway. Who have we got? Chris Hotkins. Oh, good morning, Chris. How are you doing? I hope your wife's better after a fall. Saw that last night. Jill. Good morning, Jill. I hope people bounce forward with positive strategies after challenging times. Oh, and last but no means least, he had to come, didn't he? Adam Stevens. If you don't know Adam Stevens, check him out. Yeah. He's quite a vocal chap. Anyway, right. It's time to listen to me now on my thing. So I'm just gonna have a quick slurp of coffee. And here we go. I'm not gonna try and read any more comments now because it'd be confusing, but I'll catch up with them later. And here we go. So it's now time for the foresight slot, which is just like a 4 networking meeting. It isn't a sales pitch, but it's an insight into a specialist field, experience or interest in the area of your life. And my foresight is titled, Are Dyslexics Predisposed Entrepreneurs? And although I cannot see you today, it would be great, I've already done this, smash those hearts and smash those pluses, I love them. And then you're laughing, and if anything gets to you, just put it on, put whatever you want, keep them coming. So, right, here we go. So why I'm here today? Well, what I'm trying to do is change the perception of dyslexia in the UK, and as I go through it, you'll probably understand why. And that's why the titles are Dyslexics Predisposed Entrepreneurs. So just going back slightly, quite a bit of time, I left school with average grades. Yeah, like a lot of people did, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I left school, but I was already working in a butcher's shop, and it seemed the most logical and the easiest thing for me to do was to become a butcher. So I did that. I quite enjoyed it, but the hours were quite long and the pay wasn't that good. But yeah, I really enjoyed the interaction. As people that know me, I really enjoyed the people aspect and in the shop, good banter. But anyway, an opportunity came up for me to go and work for a logistics company in Trafford Park in Manchester, and I took it. And without turning this into a full-blown CV about me and my life, I took every opportunity that I could to progress myself. So I did, every job that came up, stock control, foreman's job, all the rest of it, and just tried to take all that training that was available to me. And I found myself, I've always been hungry for progression. I've always been hungry for more. I've never been satisfied to stay where I am. I always knew there was something more that I could achieve, and I always wanted to get to that highest level I could achieve with my abilities, or until someone says, hang on a minute, you've gone a bit too far, that's enough. And bizarrely, I found myself several years later a senior leader within global businesses. And my last permanent role, I had a budget of £23 million a year, 150, 200 staff and 3 sites. And I thought, wow, I made it. I made it. This is great. And actually, something very strange happened, because I'd gone from businesses where I'd always had successful teams, and I was highly regarded and respected not only by the people that I worked alongside in the business, but the people that worked for me, because I'm really into leading teams and getting the best out of them and motivating them. And I used to do that through getting people together, do brainstorming and looking at where we're at and what we could do and get the team involved. So I went from that to this global business, and I started doing a lot of report writing. And that's where, for me, a lot of people find out of an older age that they're dyslexic, because the report writing, I started missing words out. I started using the wrong like where instead of were, and there instead of there. So, and my boss was picking me up on it all the time. It wasn't a very pleasant experience. It was horrible experience. And also it was a bit like Lord of the Flies, the team that are around me all sticking their knives in, because I got into a team that was established. So that, combined with finding out I was dyslexic and the way the business was treating me, got me to the point where I was virtually on a part of a nervous breakdown. And I said to Sandra in the kitchen, I can still remember it now, I can't carry on. And she said, well, it's only another couple of years. And that was it for me. I was like, I can't last survive another couple of months, never mind a couple of years. It was just, felt sick going to work every day. I just couldn't cope with it. So she's great. So she put some of her stuff to one side to let me do what I needed to do. So at 44, I quit my job, I started a business, and I went to university. Like you'd all do, wouldn't you? That's what you do, don't you? Find out you're dyslexic, I tell you what, let's go to university. And in 2012, I graduated from Coventry University with a master's degree in global entrepreneurship. Now, for me, that was something I never thought I'd ever do. I always looked at people with a degree and thought, wow, they're very intelligent, must be very clever people. But I've got one. And I don't say that bragging. I did that specifically because I wanted to help people that was going through what I've gone through and change the perceptions. So what's the best way of doing is actually research that as my dissertation, Are Dyslexics Predisposed Entrepreneurs? So that I'm not just another dyslexic with a chip on my shoulder. I've researched it, I know what I'm talking about. So, that's what I did. And it was very surprising in the university, because in the general population of the university, there was something like the normal 15% of students were deemed to be dyslexic, but in the entrepreneurial school, there was something like 30 to 50%. It's about 50% in my class. So that's quite interesting, and that formulated some of my research that I did. So what is dyslexia? Well, dyslexia was first noted in about 1896 with a young boy who was highly intelligent but didn't have the written word, and called it word blindness. And so it's 1896 it was first noted, and it wasn't until about the 1970s until there was more research done into it, and things have started to change. And I think it's still bonkers that in 2016 we still have this misconception in the world, really, about dyslexia and what it is, and what it means to be dyslexic. But not only that, why, we have this big focus about written word and language. So, and a lot of people have tagged me into a post that's in the Independent recently about some doctor who's or PhD scientist or something that's researched it about the problems and the faults of being dyslexic and what the issues are. Now they can sort of counteract it with some electrical stimulation, and I just find that absolutely bonkers, because we're looking at it as a negative. I think it's just as mad as saying let's find a way of changing people's eye colour or the colour of their hair. Let's get rid of people that are ginger. So because there's a problem with them, isn't there? And we don't look at we've got this big thing about language. We don't look at people in school that can't run as good as everybody else and say they've got a deficiency in running, or they're not very good at music. And we don't try ever increasing ways of changing people and getting people to be able to play the piano. But we try and cram these kids into learning the same as everyone else is learning. And it's a sausage machine, and we've got to stop it. We've got to find different ways of learning and teaching people, and not using academic achievement as the barometer of intelligence, because clearly it's not. There's some amazing people out there. Right, so let's get to some stats, because that makes sense to me. So about 10 to 15% of the population are dyslexic. Now, interestingly, about 30% of entrepreneurs, so all you in 4N, because there's quite a lot of you, in every group there'll be at least 30% of you will be dyslexic, guarantee it. But in large corporations, CEOs, only about 3%. These are interesting numbers for me. And also, dyslexia is on the spectrum of learning difficulties. They class it as learning difficulties: dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism, and ADHD. I hate that term, learning difficulty. And it's also classed as a disability of Work Act, I think 2010, I think it is. Which also, I understand that, to stop people being abused and but it also, those two things give it a negative connotation. They give it a negative feel. So straight away, everyone's looking for the negative. Let's start looking at the positives. So we've got some famous dyslexics, and every novelist mentions Richard Branson. I roll my eyes, oh yeah, Richard Branson, but he's a really famous one. But there's loads of them out there. You know, just go and do a search. You know, there's people like Jamie Oliver. There's Jennifer Aniston's just come out of the dyslexic closet. She's not daft, is she? And so there's loads and loads of famous dyslexics. Go and research them, what I want to talk about today. So I try and make these simple for people. So I take down 14,000 words of blood, sweat and tears that I did to create my dissertation and make it a bit simple in two different ways, so you can understand how the dyslexic mind works. So, and you use a pencil. I normally forget this when I'm in a group. I've had to prepare today. So language is made up of several elements. The way your hand moves to write something, the way you verbalise it and speak it. You actually see an image of something before you say it or write it, and how something's spelled. Now these are all stored in these are all stored in the brain, and in the non-dyslexic mind they come together in a split second. It's habitual, and so if someone's asking for a pencil, they'll just say pencil. So imagine it like a library, like books in a library, where the information is stored very neatly, and it's very easy to get that information out and then put it back again. So it's habitual. You don't even have to think about it. Yeah. So that's the non-dyslexic mind. Now in the dyslexic mind, it's a mishmash. It's all together. So what you tend to find, and if any of you know me, you'll know some of the stuff that I come out and mess up all the time, people's names. So these things aren't together. It's not habitual. It's almost like a bucket or a cylinder of information. So when a dyslexic might ask for the same thing, the pencil, they might actually ask for a pen, because a pen and a pencil are very similar. I'm doing it all the time. The amount of times, I mean, Sandra's in the other room now, she laughs her head off. I said something last night, and it's like, oh, here he goes again. Oh, it's the advert, wasn't it? The advert. Oh, yeah, have you seen, what's it called? The advert, and he comes in and puts the things. It's the Apple advert. And Frankenstein, I was going to say Frankenstein said, there you go. And he puts these tree lights in the thing, and said, oh, he put his earbulbs in. I mean, what are earbulbs? Well, that's how my mind works. And that's how they're dyslexic, because we just go in and get stuff, and it can be highly comical. But for a lot of people, it's really, I don't care. I couldn't care less now, and I've got over it. I've got the confidence. But a lot of people, that's pretty horrific, because imagine if you're in a job or you're in school and you start saying, oh, he's put his earbuds in, and everyone's going to laugh at you, aren't they? Because kids are pretty brutal, aren't they? They are brutal. I didn't like him at school. They're terrible. I still don't like him now. I don't tell my kids. I didn't say that, did I? I did say that out loud. But yeah, so kids can be brutal. It's horrible in work. So yeah, bonkers. And that's how it works. Now, the other way I tried to explain it is with everyone watching this is either use a PC or a Mac. Now, those two pieces of equipment are broadly the same. Yeah, you can run programs on them. You know, you can run Excel, you can do your Facebook, whatever. If you're an artist, you create things, or you do your accounts. So those two bits of kit can do the same things. But the difference is the issue is when they try and get those two things to communicate, because they struggle. So we have to put bridges across. So a Mac can't talk to a PC, and you can't put a program from a PC into a Mac. It just doesn't work. But so what it is, the way that they store, retrieve and process information is different. And that's how I like to explain it for the dyslexic mind and the non-dyslexic mind. There's not really any different. They do the same thing, but they just process things differently and just work it out differently. So they're the two ways I like to explain it. Now, traits. When I did some research, I was looking at the traits. So they've got these two groups of people. You've got these the dyslexics, the visual thinkers, strong mechanical skills. They've got low self-esteem, because obviously, you know, they look at everybody and think they're more intelligent because they can't do the same things that other people do. They have literacy problems, and I would say no shit. The good delegators, the logical problem solvers. They dislike structure. Yeah, remember that. But they're resilient. So entrepreneurs, they've got high self-esteem. They're high risk takers, but it's normally measured. They're not gamblers, entrepreneurs, but they will take risks, but they're normally measured risks. and they tend to come from a family background of business owners. So you tend to get people that have got businesses. It's one of the things that you ask when you go to university and you want to go on the entrepreneur school. Have you got family members? Are your parents entrepreneurs? Because you sort of learn that as a kid, what you're doing. Great example for Nikki Butlin with a parents and family, and she's ended up becoming an entrepreneur because she's learned that thing from a family through her life. But they do have some shared commonalities. They're strongly influenced by mentors, so they learn, from other people and are influenced by what people teach them. They're conceptual thinkers. They're innovators. Think of people like Steve Jobs, they innovate and change things. I mean, some of the things, when the iPod first came out, that was very revolutionary. And I mean, how could you even think about doing that? Because he's not stuck in this one way of thinking. There's a high proportion of left-handedness in entrepreneurs and dyslexics, and gender favours the male. So you tend to find that more dyslexics are male as are entrepreneurs. And that's not to say we've not got some great female entrepreneurs, we clearly have, but they're the statistics that come through. So when I was talking to you before about the bucket of information, which is quite negative. I said before, I always mess things up, and it's like time management and all the negative things that dyslexics do. They can spatial awareness, or when they try and get somewhere can get lost. So there's some really negative things about it, and language and spelling, which the advantage of the non-dyslexic have make it quite structured. But they're stuck in that environment. They're stuck in that information that's in front of them. So I used the example just before about Steve Jobs, and that's where the dyslexic mind is perfect, because you're not stuck in this rigid system. All this information that's all going around, where you start talking about air bolts and things like that. Well, that's how I believe the innovation comes out, and you can solve problems, because you make links to things that people can't make, and they go, that's absolutely bonkers. But actually, when you get through it, then it makes sense. So I believe that's a massive advantage with being a dyslexic, is solving problems. But one of the really bad things about dyslexic is confidence, and that's what I'm trying to change, is confidence. I don't want to teach people how to read and write. I can't even spell entrepreneur, never mind. But I can teach people help them to be an entrepreneur. So yeah, and I don't want to retrain the people's brains, because people do that. Well, I want to focus on the positive things, give people the confidence, because going back to what I was saying to you before, I was one of the lowest points in my life, and I had zero confidence, absolutely zero confidence. I said at the time I'd never work for anyone. I didn't want to work again, and I would never work for anyone ever again. But Sandra gave me the confidence and believed in me when I'd lost all belief in myself. Just have a drink. Sorry, it gets you every now and then, doesn't it? You go back to that place, takes you back to where you don't want to be. Right, so 3% of CEOs in large corporations are dyslexic. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you why. Businesses want to employ and promote the best people to the roles, so unfortunately they put things and tests in place that stop dyslexics raising or going to those roles, because one or two things happen. Either a dyslexic will go, well, I'm not going to go for that job because I'm going to fail the test, or they will fail a test because of what it's judging people on. And dyslexics don't like the structure. So before, they don't like the structure, and as you get more and more senior within a business, the more red tape comes in, the more constrained you are. So that innovation that you want to bring is suppressed, because they don't want you to be innovate, unless you work for some of the newer, obviously there's some new businesses that are like that now. So dyslexics will either stay at a lower level, so you'll find a lot of jobs where there's really highly intelligent people who are dyslexic at a lower level. I worked in the logistics business, and I know some amazing drivers with some great ideas, and a lot of drivers will be dyslexic, because it's a job that they can get into and don't have to go higher up. So yeah, so they go off and do their own thing or stay at low level. So entrepreneurs, so why is it 30% of entrepreneurs? Well, we've already said they're brilliant at problem solving and want to do their own thing and want to change things. So you tend to find a lot of entrepreneurs are dyslexic, because we gravitate towards that environment, because it's where we fit, it's where we belong. We belong in that environment. We belong with people that are like-minded people. Because all too often, as an entrepreneur or dyslexic, if you try and tell your family what you're trying to achieve, they will try and protect you and go, what you're talking about doesn't make sense. So it's important to get round and with people that understand what you're talking about, they're on the same page as you, and will help you grow, help your concepts grow, and help you grow as well. So we're about coming to the end of my foresight. So I just want to leave you with this. If you know of any dyslexics in your family, in your workplace, wherever you come in contact with them, get them to get to a level. So I encourage families, don't do educate them and get them to a level, but don't try and force stuff into them that they're not gonna get. Find different ways for them to learn, use visual tools, but get them then to focus on what they're really passionate about, because you don't know, you could be encouraging the next Steve Jobs. So I thank you. So are dyslexics predisposed entrepreneurs? Yeah, they are. Right, back to the script. I don't like structure, I'm a dyslexic, but I'll go back to the script here now, haven't I? Right, here we go. Got to find it now. I'm always like this when I'm on my group. Sorry, Brad, that's the way it is. Right. So make sure, so there's another foresight coming next week. I think it's Michael Nagel's next weekend on the 31st. So make sure you tune in. There's normally a follow-up on the Monday, but he's not doing the follow-up. But like I said before, please check in to Brad Burton, aka the Alternative Queen. Oh, you like that one? Tomorrow, so watch him on that. He likes mild cheese. I'll say no more. Oh, here we go. I'll be blackballed. Right, if you would like an opportunity to present an episode of 4N TV Live, then message 4N on this community, 4N networking community page. It's free to take part and open to 4N members. It's already booked up. It's a month in advance. I think it's getting towards September, October next year. Crazy. So get your requests in now. This 4N TV Live episode will be available to view anytime here. So please share it around and add some more comments. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed today. Yeah, we're all right. Today, have a great weekend. Well, not only a great weekend, a great Christmas. Why not have a great Christmas and enjoy yourselves, like I said before. So I'm really looking forward to the break, and I'd just like to thank everyone in 4N this year for what you've done. I've met loads of amazing people. It's been an absolutely fantastic journey in 2016. I'm looking forward to 2017. And a little plug from me. Check out my radio show on 6:30 on a Tuesday evening. And next week I should have Dad Boy on for a world exclusive special. So I'm going to sign off. Have a wonderful Christmas. Check Michael Nagel's out next week. I've been Duggystone. You've been wonderful. Keep those hearts. Come on, let's have a last blast on those hearts, because I'm vain. I told you I'm vain. Go on. Go, go, go. Lovely. Have a great time, people. Goodbye.